Hey there, Dr. Craig Chalquist. So, at a time when the Republic and the Jedi Order have fallen, what good are folktales? Let's have an example. So, hope you're up for a little early morning on my end storytelling. I'm going to do this in two videos so I don't have to gallop. I can't stand it when you're watching a video and the speaker goes really fast and it's next. So, we're not going to do that. A quick logistic note. So some of you, when I do videos, post questions asking me to do other topics or other aspects of the topic, which is great. Always happy to oblige if I have time. But sometimes the questions are about videos I've already done. And so I just want to make sure you know that when you swipe left on a TikTok video, you go to the creator's page where you can see all their videos. So something to make use of. So this story, the devil's sooty brother, comes from the storyteller Dorothea Veman, who then gave the story to the Grimms. And so the Grimms brothers collected it. And they got something like 40 stories from Dorothea Veman. So I wanted to speak her name. She was a German storyteller married to a tailor, and I think the daughter of a guy who ran a saloon, or rather a tavern, and sorry, Americanisms crept in. Anyway, she gave us a lot of what the Germans would call Märchen, folktales, fairy tales, and so this is one of hers. So there is a soldier named Hans who is discharged one day, and his government, as is tragically often the case, says, "Thanks for the memories, bye." So he's broke, with nowhere to go. So while he's out wondering what to do, a little man comes up to him and says, "I'm the devil, and I'll look after you if you sweep floors in hell for 7 years." And he says, okay. I mean, he has no choice, right? Just as a lot of us in our day have no choice but to work for devils. It's a familiar situation for a lot of us. And, unlike the devils we work for, the devils in the Grimm stories don't lay people off. So Hans is down in hell for the full 7 years, sweeping the floors, keeping hell tidy. And so around him are these big bubbling cauldrons set on fire, set on top of fires that keep them bubbling, and they all have lids. So of course he gets curious at one point and he starts lifting the lids, and he ends up seeing 3 of his former superior officers boiling. And these were all officers who mistreated him. So each time he says, the boot's on the other foot, huh? And he adds a log to the fire, which pleases the devil. So at the end of the 7 years, the devil says, okay, when you go back to the upper world, a couple of things. First of all, you're not to cut your hair or bathe. Second, when you're asked where you come from and who you are, you're going to answer in a very specific way. And third, gather up these sweepings behind the door and put them in this knapsack, because that's your earnings. And Hans thinks, yeah, great earnings, So he goes back to the upper world, but when he checks his knapsack, he realizes that the sweepings are gold. That's a nice little image there, that what has no value in one place, what's disparaged in one place, in another place turns out to be exactly what you need, right? It's actually gold. So Hans goes to an inn. He needs a place to stay for the night. And the innkeeper looks him up and down like, yeah, right. And says, where are you from? And Hans says, from hell. And the innkeeper says, and who are you? The devil's sooty brother. And so the innkeeper's like, yeah, we don't have any rooms. And so Hans reaches into the knapsack and he pulls out a handful of gold. And the innkeeper says, oh, let me show you your room right this way. So part of what this story is doing is making fun of situations where greed seems to run the world. And it underlines how to turn that mentality back against itself. So, excuse me, at one point in the night when Hans is asleep, the innkeeper steals his knapsack. And so in the morning, Hans confronts him and says, if you don't give me back my knapsack with everything that's in it, you're going to take my place in hell. So the innkeeper gives him back the knapsack and adds some money. So now Hans is even wealthier than he was before. So he stood up to the bully, which is exactly what we should do when we can, either by ourselves or with help. Because the thing about bullies is they get stronger when you run away from them, and they'll ruin your life. And so as approval of this act, the devil cuts Hans's hair and cleans him up, so now he looks presentable. So let's find out what happens then in the next video. Thanks.